Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Force 5. Ken Plume here. This is the show where I have a special guest on and we talk about Star Wars figures that they have in their collection. They pick their top 5, any era, any size. And for this episode, I have a very special guest that has seen way too much of me over the past year and a half. Jake Motsinger, thank you for coming on. I, you technically are my dealer. I mean, you
I'm your guy, man. Yeah.
specifically, you are a dealer. You 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 deal in collectibles and comics, but you are a dealer, so it is very much an appropriate term to place on you.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I've had plenty of people who have made me feel more like that than others. You are an awesome person to have as a part of it. So it's been a pleasure getting to know
You
you
are
and
a
be your
pop
dealer.
culture facilitator.
There we go. I like it.
You present a worlds upon worlds of collecting opportunities for
Just
any
trying, just
people.
trying, just trying to sell fun. You know how it goes.
Also a dealer. But but
I guess they're
I
all trying to sell fun. What?
So I'll say a little backstory on this is that for many, many years, I did not have a local comic book shop just because of the way the area that I'm in works is that there really wasn't a local comic book shop to deal with.
Mhm.
And then I started having friends who started doing comics and I wanted to buy their physical comics just to have them to support them because usually I would do digital or things like that because collecting became a little onerous when it came to the amount of space it would take up.
A lot.
So I found a local-ish stop that was shop that was stocking comic books enough to where I could get new issues. And I won't say what that place is because it turned out to be entirely unreliable because it was had a corporate structure that while it was convenient being maybe 10 minutes away from me, also meant that sometimes issues wouldn't come in. Sometimes they'd never come in for months. And the corporate entity was not concerned about that in the least. Comics was a low priority, even though they had sold their business on one of the things offering was comics. So it just so happened that I looked for other places and found a shop that I did not know existed an hour away, and that's on me. And I went down and went to experience this shop as people were starting to emerge in the middle of the pandemic. And it was your shop, Memory Lane Comics in Wilmington. And I came in, and the thing I was most impressed by, having never been in the shop, was how immediately friendly it was, how immediately just well stocked and welcoming to a new customer. How you could definitely tell when a staff not only knows the product but enjoys and likes to talk to customers and is enthusiastic about introducing them to things and just finding out, what are your thing? What can we do to make this not your only visit to the shop? So immediately struck by that. I was all struck at the time how cramped the shop was at that time because it had certainly gotten to a what seemed like a critical mass of dealing with collectibles and new comics and old
That's kind of
collectibles.
our style. Yeah.
It's hard when someone walks in with a collection to go no, especially if you know that you'd eventually be able to do something with that.
Hmm.
It's hard to turn them away. But even though you are an hour away, which is not a fun drive to make all the time, it has been worthwhile. And I would very much say that you are my local comic book shop now. So kudos to not just you, but also your brother and the entire team down there. So I kind of want to backtrack a little bit because
Sure.
this is unique to have you on the show. Is sort of what we'll start with what your collecting journey was just in general as a kid, because you're local to the area that you're in, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm born and raised in Wilmington. It's just kind of like a little beach town for those not familiar. But it's because of being a beach town where we have heavy tourist traffic, so it's got a large circulating population of people. So we actually have a really good base of people to pull from, and stores like small businesses have always been kind of successful here.
But it never became
But
like a big beach town like Hilton Head
Yeah,
or Virginia Beach.
exactly.
It never turned into the heavy tourist. Like it
Yeah,
definitely feels more of it retained the community aspect without sort of just becoming condos and McDonald's and Red Lobsters.
certainly. Yeah, we know it's very fortunate. So there was always comic book stores growing up here. And a little toy store called Allen's Toys that was really close to my house growing up. And I guess my collecting journey had to have started with Ninja Turtles. I was born in '87, so my that was the prime stuff of me wanting to like play with action figures, and stuff was always on the pegs to go and pick up and have fun with.
That was your first
And
sense of collecting. Like I want more of these.
yeah, I was whatever I could possibly get. I was in on it. I was a very kind but also manipulative older brother, where I could convince my little brother to just get whatever other figure I wanted. So if I wanted this Michelangelo, but I kind of wanted Raphael as well, we can make that happen by me just being like, "This is really cool, right?"
Yeah. Then we
And
can then
and
we can
that
play together. Don't you want to play together?
exactly, and we did. We still do, and I was really fortunate that my parents were all about the action figures and facilitating that stuff. So no, I had a lot of fun. Started with Ninja Turtles most like for sure, and then I guess if you keep going with that, the X-Men, Spider-Man TV shows on Fox cartoons were like instrumental in me owning a comic book store without question. My our dad would like sit down and watch those two shows with us, but he would not watch Power Rangers, a bunch of whatever else we were interested in. But those shows he would actively watch with us every week, and because he would do that, I got so much more into it. So eventually, Ninja Turtles I still still love now, but superheroes became my thing.
Now, did your dad
Um,
also collect? Did he read comics? Did he any of that pop
as far
culture?
away from that as you can get, I think it's fun now because it took a while for me to kind of be like, no, this is like, he's always respected this was our dream.
You need to
And
be a doctor lawyer.
he said if we could do whatever made us happy growing for a living, we were doing it right. So we were very fortunate that to have a supporting family like I've had. It's the other I wouldn't have a shop like this if it weren't for my folks, like just uh feeding me when I letting me move back in so I could make this thing a reality, and not treating that like it was abnormal. Like seeing that I believed in it and that this could be a thing. So instead of, if I got tired of eating ramen at my house, or if I would go over there and eat food, and if I couldn't afford rent, I was back at home and whatever we were doing to make this happen. But no, they've been incredibly supportive. So I'm like as blessed as you can get in a family department of people to help make a thing like this what it is, and who were totally cool with me being obviously 5, 8, 10, playing with action figures. When you're 14, 15, you're still buying action figures like crazy. They were still all about it, and
But
and
it was a golden age of action figures as far as the amount that were on shelves in the
oh man,
90s.
just crazy stuff. That was basically we'd earn our allowance, my brother and I, and dad would he liked to play a game. He's a carpenter, and he liked to play a game that it was do you want to go with me, and it's probably 3 out of 5 times, 4 out of 5 times we were going to Lowe's or Ace Hardware, and it was a total bummer. But the other times we were going to Toys R Us or Memory Lane Comics, because this store has been around longer than I have. Fanboy Comics, there's a place across town that's really cool. Allen's Toys. There were so many cool little shops in our town that you could get this stuff at, and big stores, obviously. But that 20 to 35% or
So what you're
so
saying
of,
is your father got you into gambling.
without question, without question, it was worth
Do
the
you want
risk.
to take a
Sometimes
chance? Do you want to? Do you
sometimes
want
you
to?
you go to Lowe's, and he would be pulling the car where you can go left or right to go home or elsewhere, and he would take a right and go to Toys R Us, and it was just this, yeah. But he would cover the tax of whatever toy we wanted to buy, and so if we had $5, an action figure was less than that back then for sure, which is really awesome. And just grew a crazy collection. So I used to have this drum case. I don't know how I ended up with this, but full of action figures that if I was going to my grandparents' house, I was carrying this guy around. It would and did that for way longer than your average little boy. But
Where is that drum case behind you right now?
no, it is at my parents' house though. Those are all figures that we used at some point, just trying to make ends meet up here. Took everything that because Ben and I, my brother, had all of our toys were combined into one amalgam. We knew whose was what,
Yeah,
but
and
we all
in
blamed
your
it.
mind they were all yours.
Exactly. You shared a bedroom, shared a yeah, without question. I mean, in his mind too, he knew,
Yeah. No, I mean, like, eventually he realized the
without
shop
doubt.
works the same way.
Yeah, no, it's started young for sure at this, and kept it going, and now I'm here.
Well, I mean, it's knowing a little bit about the story now. You know, you did that thing where it sounds like what a lot of people who enjoy their action figures and comics do and make the mistake of like, I'll go work at a shop where they sell these things
Hmm.
and somehow realizing, well, you know, if I'm spending what I make, that's kind of self-defeating, but I'm here and I get first crack at things. Was that your mentality of working at a shop as a teenager?
Uh, I wanted to work at this store for so many years, and kept coming back in and asking if there was a job available. Which is funny being on the other side now because I have so many high schoolers, college kids, adults who are just like, you're hiring, you're hiring, you're hiring, and they so many people ask daily about getting a job here, and I was that kid, and I was just constantly asking. And it was 15 years old, no; 16 years old, no; 17 years old, no; 18 years old, no. At some point, I was going to UNCW, and I popped in, and I hadn't read comics in a little while. It's funny, oddly enough. Just being broke at it kind of got out for a little while. But Kevin Smith's number 3 of his Spider-Man Black Cat, Evil That Men Do, came out, and I bought. That was the last comic I bought, and I walked back in the store because I heard about Marvel Zombies and wanted to check that out. And number 4 came out that week, and it was just like I never left comic books, so I grabbed that and checked it out. And he recognized me. It had been a minute since I'd been in, but said like, "Hey, do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yes." So it finally happened, and for sure, bags and bags and bags of comic books coming home. My parents were asking me if I was making any money at my job. Um,
Which
but
technically you were.
yeah, no,
It stayed at your job, but you were making it.
exactly.
But to
So
you, it seemed like a win-win because obviously this is where I was going to spend it anyway.
I wasn't mad at it. I went to school in my hometown, so I was still living at home, and my expenses were small, and it was easy enough to walk home with bags of comic books. So
Do you still have some of the stuff that you bought in that period?
very little. I mean, there's like a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it's especially comic books. It got to be too difficult to collect those once I owned the store, and part of taking the store over, I knew that I needed to break myself of that a little bit, at least for a good while. And it was a long time where I had like a couple of statues and a couple of action figures that, and otherwise my house was devoid of comic book stuff. I was reading too many comics a week, but I didn't want to. I couldn't compete with the store for or my customers for the money that the store could bring in and be successful.
Right.
And so that was a really difficult thing. I was trying to figure out how to do that and still want this because I'd take stuff up to the store or and show it off, and someone want to buy it, obviously. If it's cool, if people want to buy it and it's in the store, so I could have my statue collection at the shop on display, and people wanted it. So, and I needed money to continue to have this business, so I had to sell it, and then so basically everything that all the comics that I collected while I was working here initially went on the wall and made up the back wall of comics and back issues and whatnot. So it
Yeah, I
all
mean
did
it's
pay off eventually, but
yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to keep a shop going when you're undercutting it.
it doesn't work. And I saw it. I saw it happen before I took the store over. It's partially the reasoning for me being able to. Is I've seen this happen with a lot of comic book store owners, and it's you know, speaking of the dealer concept, it's like they're getting, you know, they have this steady influx of this stuff, and if you taking it home, you're not making money on it.
Right. Are you building a collection or are you building a store?
And my goal was always to make this a successful business that would support me as an adult and my family, and that you know, to prove people who thought it was stupid wrong, and make it a real thing. And so that was it was, you know, that was definitely a victim of that for the while. There was not being able to collect things. Now fortunately the store is bumping, and we are doing awesome, and I'm able to order stuff in larger quantities, and I can buy stuff myself if I want it. And I don't feel like I'm competing with the store because we have, like you said, so much stock in here that when I take something out of it, it's not hurting it at all typically. And so I do get to pick up cool, like I saw this the other day and wanted it.
Oh,
And Eric had at the store first appearance of all the Rebels characters, and I was like, I need this. And Eric was like, here you go. So like I do get to actually collect some comics, save for like some. I've always had a couple of cool things I hung on to, but just a small amount. But I can now kind of pick stuff up here and there.
do you feel you're more
Um,
discerning now when it comes to what it, you know, what level it has to reach to be something that you actually want?
yeah, without a doubt, it's tough because well, I don't know. In some ways, it's easy because I see so much stuff come through here, that sometimes I'll basically just put like a, I'd buy that if it were this price, and I wait till I can get it for the price that I want to pay for it, which would, you know, cost on whatever figure that someone trades in or something like that. So if I'm more patient on collecting stuff now, so I won't pay high price. I'll wait for an archive series to come out if there's a figure I want, and I'm willing to wait on some things. I finally got caught the other day with one thing I wasn't willing to wait with, and probably paid way too much money for it. So it does happen on occasion. He was one of my honorable mentions, but I
Oh
finally
yes.
finished the Jedi Fallen Order video game, and could not find this figure anywhere, and found it on a Facebook group with there was some super cool people hooked me up on getting it. But I love Cal Kestis. His hair should be considerably more red, I think, but I still really
It's
like this
more red
figure.
in the gaming greats release, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
You can just swap heads. Is he more
it's
ginger in
about
the
the same. I think it's the exact same head. And so I was a little bit bummed about that, to be honest. But I still, it's
Yeah,
still him,
I
and
don't
I
have
love
the
it.
original release, which I wish because he has the better BD1. I'm not a big fan of that
The red one.
burgundy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can deal with the poncho. It was the BD1 that was disappointing.
this little guy's pretty cool. I love him.
But that
So yeah,
also those came out at a weird time. Wasn't that like a
mhm.
end of 2019 into 2020 release?
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I don't remember them being around a whole bunch,
Like that was the
and
same wave that had like Afra and all those ones that are nearly impossible to find now.
that might be the case. There was definitely a point where we stopped ordering much Black Series stuff at all because the cases that Hasbro was doing were so like poorly packed. I felt like I had to order like more. I don't know. I'm trying like there was a terrible selling character
The assortment wasn't
got
great. The
repacked with,
mix.
yeah, exactly. And so we just didn't mess with it for a while, and then they started eventually doing more solid cases, and doing, you know, that were coming out had all new characters in it, and we have been like, we just can't keep it on the shelf anymore. It's doing awesome, and but it's there was a point there where we had to make the decision to stop ordering new Black Series figures because you looked, and 3 waves in, we had stacks of one character that we just could not sell, and it was just not, you know, your margins of that are so terrible anyways.
Right. And so is your shelf space isn't infinite either. Neither is your
Exactly.
storage.
exactly. So I'm just like shooting myself in order to keep something cool on this shelf, and it just didn't pan out. So
Did you get the
it's
second
awesome.
sister from that wave as well?
No, I need to though. That's definitely
So
what I'm
that's
on
the
the
next
lookout
one.
for.
That's now replacing the Cal Kestis on your list of.
Yeah, I'll be more patient on her. I really enjoyed her character. If they had her maybe maskless, I'd probably be even faster on it because I thought the coolest scenes in that game were her without the mask on.
Although
Like she
now
had
that
a
I
lot of
say that,
emotion.
I wonder, since we're getting the sequel next year, the
Oh
Jedi
yeah,
Survivor, if they'll archive series that Cal Kestis and the second sister.
I think I got a feeling they'll either do that or they're gonna release a better version of them. I've
You mean this
that's a
like the vintage collection stubble? Is the new
yeah,
stubble look?
exactly. They waste no time in Star Wars action figures of putting out a slight variation or better version, and making you feel stupid for having the other one. But we got to upgrade, right? You know,
So you talked about Ninja Turtles. When did your Star Wars collecting begin?
Star Wars collecting began. I had my best buddy who plays in a polka band in Ohio. Who he's opened up for Weird Al. He's touring all over the place, especially for this year time of year for Oktoberfest. In the Chardon Polka Band. So he's just this really cool dude. He and I met in fourth grade, and I had like a moderate, like a little bit of an interest in Star Wars, but I was all Marvel superheroes, X Men, Spider Man, everything. And we shared the same name, Jacob. And at some point, he was like, it was his first day at this new school he had just moved to, and he needed a locker buddy, and I was like, "I'll be your locker buddy, buddy." And we got the same name. Let's hang out. And he and I
Everyone
just
find a
started.
locker buddy.
Exactly, you need that. So he's been like one of my best friends. He moved to Ohio when we were in seventh grade, but he's still been one of my best friends my entire life. And he was all Star Wars all the time. Had this was before, I guess, or right around or before the re-releases figures had come out.
Yeah, so 95 would have been,
Mhm.
so this is right on the cusp of that. And
Yeah, I
before
think
the
it was
theatrical
just
re-releases had happened.
it
So
was
Star
right in
Wars
there.
was out
Just
there, but it
yeah,
wasn't blown up. So he
yeah,
was probably what, introduced maybe by his parents to Star
yeah.
Wars
He
or
was
an
a
older sibling.
he moved here from Indiana and had a lot of flea markets around where he grew up, so he was always able to find like old stuff. So he I didn't have this knowledge of being able to go to like yard sales and flea markets and hunt for figures like this. But when he moved to town, like he had all these cool old, he had the old Rancor and all this all like
All the
crazy cool.
Kenner stuff.
He had all this cool Kenner stuff. He had this indoor playset that was like just gigantic that his
Oh, the
mom
Ewok
bought.
Village, right?
It was like four Ewok villages that were
Just strung
arranged
together.
together. It was crazy, Ken. It was like and it was multiple AT-ATs or AT like the chicken walkers around. It was just the coolest setup. And so in this room in his house, he had this insane Star Wars toy collection. And me and my brother had all these X-Men and Spider-Man figures. And so we started just kind of, I was sharing my knowledge, and we used to make comic books together and write stories and about Star Wars and Marvel comics and stuff. And
When was the
we
last? Have
definitely,
those stories still exist?
yes, I found them not long ago, and they're brilliant. And I need to show you. It is so
You know what?
insane.
You should bring them down, and for the 24-hour comic day for creating a 24-hour comic,
Oh
you
my
two
gosh,
should pick up where you left off
it'd
and
be
finish a
brilliant.
new 24-hour comic.
There was I sent it. I found those. I found that sometime recently. My parents had like a notebook that had a bunch of that stuff in it, and it had a uh like a Wolverine that was holding a knife, and I described the knife in such detail. And it was such a funny thing to me as an adult to look back and be like, I created this crazy knife for him when he's got six that come out of his hands. So it just
So you like
like
accessories.
beyond redundant. I do. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. But no, he shared this love for Star Wars with me in a way that and got me into it, and we were so huge into these things together. And honestly, I kind of fell out of Star Wars love a little bit at some point. I was just kind of I liked it enough. But eventually, especially with the Mandalorian coming back out, I kind of started like, all right, no, I do like Star Wars. I'm getting back into this, and someone convinced me to watch the Clone Wars, and it blew my mind. And then I watched Rebels afterwards, and I loved it even more. And now, like, I'm more of a Star Wars fan than I've probably ever been in my life.
Now, did you have the same journey as where, I'm a little older than you, but the prequels, interesting ideas executed in sometimes unfortunate ways, but a lot of
Mhm.
interesting ideas. But I found that I actually appreciated the ideas and the characters in the prequels more because of going into Clone Wars. So
Yeah.
now I will go and get things from the prequels. 10 years ago, never would have thought
Mm-mm.
that I was buying because of what Clone Wars did for recontextualizing and rehabilitating my view of those films.
I mean, so I'm in that weird range where like the prequels came out when I like I remember waiting in line. Obviously, I'm sure you did as well, but waiting in line to go see this movie. And but I was like I was a kid. Like this was the first Star Wars I saw in the theater, save for the re-releases.
Yeah,
This
because you
was
would
like
have
the
been what,
first new
13 at the
thing.
time?
Yeah, yeah. And so this was huge to us. I mean, we're we got all our like gear and fun stuff, like costumed up and hanging out and waiting in line at the theater. And I adored those movies when they first came out. But being 13 when the first one comes out or so, and then being what somewhere like 18, 19, whatever when the last one comes out, changed my like I thought Revenge of the Sith was all right, but it just didn't really hit
Yeah,
me.
you're a lot more critical at that point of,
Yeah,
wait, what? This has got to, I'm a little more adult
it
now.
didn't have the charm of the original ones. But man, if I don't agree on watching when I watch Clone Wars now, I've gone back and watched as an adult, especially since I watched the Clone Wars through the pandemic beginnings, and I love it so much, and it made those movies so much more interesting to me, and they're beyond
You're like, yeah,
tolerable
I guess I
now.
will buy a General Grievous. I guess I do like
It's
that.
it's got me. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I just like Obi-Wan was just always an old man to me, and now he's just it's he no longer is that character. He's like I picture Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan now, or more so the Clone Wars version of animated
Right.
style. That's Anakin was so uninteresting to me, and he is so like such a phenomenal character now. I got you see this arc and you see how he's manipulated, and what happens between him and Ahsoka to put him in this position where he feels betrayed is just so good.
Oh, and
So
if you come into it, not knowing anything, and you're like, this Ahsoka character, okay, whatever.
I kind of figured it was another like classic sidekick, Star Wars sidekick that was just like a slightly annoying but cute for kids.
Yeah, yeah, this is
And
your entry point.
she's in my top three Star Wars characters. I mean, I associate with like I love her so much. I love her journey. Um, I like Rosario Dawson is just like a perfect pick to play her in live action. It makes the hair on my arm stand up to just think about it. I love it so much.
And
So
a
it's
series coming
cool.
next year, just a matter of months now.
Can't wait.
So we should start into your list.
Yeah, yeah.
So before we get in, was it difficult for you to rank them from 5 to 1, or did you have a pretty good idea of where they fell within your ranking in
It
picking them?
was only because I put but on these figures some of it is full on love for the character and some of it is love for the literal sculpt and figure itself, and trying to figure out how to rank those things together was the only difficult part of it. So sorting out that I guess I'll jump right in
Yeah,
if
let's do your number 5. What's your number?
oh, number five.
Your
Oh,
number 5. Yeah, we're gonna go from
that makes
5
way
to
more
1.
sense. Uh, this might be my favorite actual action figure that I own. This Clone Commander Obi-Wan is so solid and
And this is
so
the Target
cool.
exclusive.
I think is he Walgreens or Target? I think I don't know. He's I had someone traded him in, and
Oh,
I
that's the
found
one
him
that
right
is
now.
that's the rosy
Yep,
faced one, right? Oh no, that's the
yep.
Target one. That's the Target one.
Man, I love this figure. It's it's not exactly anything from the stuff that he doesn't wear all this armor in the Clone Wars, so it's a little bit of a stretch for the stuff that I know of with this, but it looks so Obi-Wan-ish to me. And I love the mix of Jedi robe to clone armor, and I love the respect that shows for the clones and how he doesn't think these are just like they're not just like pawns
They're
on
not
this.
cannon fodder.
They're not cannon fodder. They mean something to him, and that the fact that he dresses like him, I think, is such an Obi-Wan trait. And so I love this figure. So five for me right there.
And they got
He's
the
not
sculpt right. They, unlike that Revenge of the Sith one that Obi-Wan had, which is tiny and
yeah.
disappointing.
I don't know if that's a good. Hopefully, that's a
Yeah.
good
Oh
enough
yeah.
view. But it is such a good sculpt. I mean, it's uncanny. And man, yeah, I love this guy. So that's my number five.
Okay. So are you now in, and we'll find out more in your selections. Are you generally gravitate towards Black Series as far as your scale of choice?
I do. I grew up having obviously 3 3/4. The crazy buff Luke was probably my first action figure for Star Wars, and then all the Power of the Force guys that rolled along with it, and I was getting Kenner guys eventually. When I was right in that fourth grade year, I had I found the vintage Millennium Falcon with it. The cockpit wasn't on it, but everything else was there, and that hung in my bedroom until I was 17, probably.
And where is that now?
Um, it's somewhere at my folks' house, so it is definitely still around. Um, so I've 3 3/4 for sure. What was always really special to me and always really cool. I had episode one figures, Attack of the Clones figures,
But that wasn't the
and
scale of what you got into, because obviously Ninja Turtles was a slightly bigger scale. Certainly the
mhm.
Toy Biz Marvel stuff was a bigger scale than
It was,
that.
if I had the choice as a kid, I would if there was two options as a kid, I would have picked the larger scale. I like the detail which is it's very negligible now. They pack so much detail in those 3 3/4 vintage collection guys and the different
Oh
ones
yeah.
now. It's crazy.
That and with the
Really
face
crazy.
printing is just eerie. Like if you look at that Ahsoka
Mhm.
in that Rosario Dawson Mandalorian Ahsoka, it's just
It's insanity.
yeah.
I wouldn't have thought they would ever be able to pull off a figure of that bright, of that quality, and for at that scale. I love vehicles, and always loved them growing up, and playing with our Ben and I playing with our Star Wars vehicles was so much fun. So 3 3/4 for sure special to me.
I just
But
realized in your shop, if anyone goes to the shop to Memory Lane
mhm.
in Wilmington, and they should, you now in saying that, I now realize that you've recreated your childhood bedroom because you have a scaled up now as an adult giant Millennium Falcon that's hanging from the ceiling in the shop.
It is, man. I mean, honestly, the store is the
Was
entire
that
concept.
intentional, or you am I pointing that out now and you're going, oh yeah, I guess I did?
No, it just happened like that, but it was so comfortable to me. The second that a friend of ours who passed away gave that to us as a shop warming gift, and
And this
had
is a
wanted to give
giant
it.
large scale like display piece, like you would see in like a Toys R Us.
I think it was a Toys R Us thing in like in the mid '90s. It's that 6 foot Millennium Falcon. It's unbelievably cool. It hangs in a super tall ceiling area of the store, and it's ridiculously cool, and it definitely like kind of completes the store. I feel like it adds this cool depth to like walking around. A lot of people don't notice at first, and when they do, it blows their minds, and it's a lot of fun. But no, yeah, it's this place is which I'm here in the back room of the shop right now. um
Near the bank
uh
vault.
exactly. This place is supposed to be exactly that. So it was I either wanted as a kid to to play in the NFL, be a professional musician, or own a comic book store, in no particular order. So I got one of those things.
Well, I mean, you can still chase the other dreams. It's not over yet.
The NFL dream is shot. That one's totally. My body does not
Well, if you
cooperate
keep falling
anymore.
down, it will be. But
Exactly, exactly.
but you can
Um,
still be a musician.
oh yeah, that, I mean, I still play music for fun for sure, but I have no ideas of trying to make money at it at this point. But I love what we got here and what I've built here,
And
and
this is like the final iteration because the shop existed in previous spaces, right?
yeah, I mean, I in a weird way, I'm like, I'd be happy if this was the final iteration, but I also want to do bigger, better, grander version of this still. So I mean, which is the what Ken had mentioned earlier. If you're watching, is where we were running out of space. We fixed that by opening up a store across the street from our current store, because I love the space that we're at so much, and we needed to expand. And so we have a place that's all of our retro, all of our buyback and retro and rare and hard to find comics and action figures. And I would love to marry those back instead of having them across the street, have them back together one day, either stacked or next door to each other. And I haven't figured out how to pull that off yet.
You're just going to
But
buy out the block. Is that eventually what it's going to come down to?
if that comic book money keeps flowing, no, if that would just it's whatever it takes to
You're going to be like walking
um
through the shops on Main Street in Disney World, right? It's just it looked like separate shops outside, but all the walls interior have been broken down, and it's just one
I,
long shop on the side of the street.
I went to a wedding in Austin, Texas, and went to Austin Books and Comics, and it's this like a huge comic book store, but the whole it's in a strip mall, and the whole strip mall is all geeky stuff. And this is years ago that I went there, but I was like, man, this is like actually working. People are there's a vintage toy store, there's a vinyl toy store, there's a bookstore, there's the comic book shop. It's all these things are right next to each other, and it was working well together.
So it was a themed
And
strip mall.
absolutely, and I don't know if they set out to do that or whatever, however it happened, but it wasn't competing with each other. It was working together. And so it like that was always in the back of my head. Like if we needed to figure something out, we could separate our deal. And so no, it worked out beautifully well. So I feel like my thing to myself has always been that the second I stop dreaming about what this place can become is when I need to hang up my cleats on it. So I have a lot of ideas of where to go from here for sure. But that's like I
That's the day
love
when you have
being
your Willy Wonka competition amongst all the staff members in the shop.
there. It is. There it is. Best of luck to all ye who enter.
Who's got a golden comic?
But no, yeah, it's cool. It's a dream come true, literally, and it's pretty cool.
So what is your number 4 choice on your list?
Number 4, Sabine,
Oh, now is this
Black
the
Series again.
re-release?
This is the re-release. Um, this one is I cannot wait to see her in live action. I really fell in love with this character in Rebels, and I love all the Rebels characters equally. Probably can't I shouldn't say it. Kanan's
Well,
probably my absolute
unless they're
favorite.
all on your list right now in the number 4 spot, then you're lying to me.
Well, that's where the difficulty came in. Is that I tried to factor in that I might like a couple of the characters even more than Sabine, but the figure I thought for Sabine is so cool. I love the checkerboard. Like I love her design styles here. It's so her with the different art, the cool color hair. Um, like I just think this is such a solid action figure that she took the spot above a couple others that were up there. I mean, including like I don't know, it was including Chopper. Like there's just some really good ones, and I love that figure. But they did a lot of really fun stuff with this figure. I love the paint splotches on her, paint spray on her boots and gloves here. So it's she took the spot because not only is she up there with me on favorite characters, but this action figure is a really cool, fun representation of her.
Do you
And so,
generally display her helmet on or helmet off?
typically helmet on. Most of my guys are probably helmet on typically. Um, Somewhat just because it gets tough to keep track of where all that stuff goes if it's not sitting there on them. I won't lie. So
So now, how do you generally display things? Do you have just like a certain shelves? Do you display them posed? Do you display them
I
like a
got
static pose?
a bunch of shelves over here, and so a lot of stuff's just kind of like there's way too many Spider-Man figures over in this area somewhere. So I
So,
got I kind of like that where it's just like a layered up. Some characters are flying, some are running, but it's just kind of like a big I guess like if you look at like an old like Perez cover or something, like some sort of art where certain characters are stoic and posed, and certain characters are in action style, and but they all kind of meld together. So everybody's doing something that's characteristic of them, I guess.
it's casual,
Yeah, yeah,
not a full,
very much.
but it's very much in character. Everyone's just hanging out.
If I had more space, maybe I would set up some scenes here and there, and we want to do a couple. I've got an area of our tiny shop that I'm considering at some point doing like a cool display to try to like advertise when a new comic is coming out. Um, and I'll just swap out some of my action figures constantly to advertise that. So I have an idea there, but I enjoy like posing them up and making them in cool action poses, but it takes space to do that, and I've got so many of these things on such little amounts of shelving that it looks like that
I
like
don't
when
know
you
what
look
you're
at
talking about. I don't know what you're.
bingo, very much like what you got going. Everybody's just hanging out.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
yeah. It's just a mosaic. It's like a Where's Waldo?
Bingo.
So and I think anyone who's looking, so I would assume that you are, and I know that you are, so I don't have to assume. But for everyone watching right now, you are a opener when it comes
Oh yeah.
to taking things out of the box, displaying them loose.
Yeah,
You are.
I'm we started this on TikTok like a free the figure videos and are having fun where like we'll just it started because Jose who works here he would always like he got such a kick out of when I would open a new action figure I was just trying to mess with him in front of him and just rip it apart as violently as possible and get to the figure as quickly as I could and because we're so used to so many people of all styles, but even people who are openers are often careful about how they open the box. Even if they're going to throw it away, it's just some sort of thing. And so it just got to be funny to me that when I would open an action figure, I would do it around as many people as possible and with as much like aggression towards the box as I could. So it was like it makes people almost weep. It's
You know
so
what?
funny to me.
Seeing the videos, and everyone should check them out on the social media that you do. Now I want to know what the Guinness World Record is for opening action figures.
Oh man,
Because now
you might have to
I'm
send it to me.
imagining there's a guy from Guinness World Records there with his little stopwatch and tote board, and it's just you with like a stack of Black Series figures, and you got 1 minute. How many can you open in 1 minute? The figure has to be fully removed from the package.
But this guy's been sitting here for a while, and I haven't opened him just yet. So one of the funniest ways to me lately has just been to literally grab it and yank the plastic right out of there, so the box is done. But I like getting into these things and checking them out. So this is I have no need of that stuff. That's why I don't care if they continue to do plastic or not. But I totally understand for people who do. Um,
That's what, the 212th? Is that the
that's exactly who that is. Yeah. So
Cody's?
someone brought them by for me and had found them and knew that I collected these guys. So I was like, Jake, I got this guy for you. So he is
And now he's
he's
free.
ready to go for he's free the figure right here
So you got
on the
60.
fourth
You got
five.
60 seconds. I'm throwing the gauntlet down. Get us on the horn. I don't think anyone's done it yet. How many figures can be opened in a minute?
In a minute. Oh my gosh. I think I could probably do I want to say like 45, somewhere in there. I think
Because you got to work out
legitimately
if we're talking about that they figured. I don't think accessories. So you have to
Yeah.
do two moves. You have to take it from the package and
Oh
pop the
yeah.
figure out. So the figure has to be dislodged from the
Okay.
actual
Okay.
packaging itself.
I'm gonna say
But everything's stacked in
15.
front of you. You got a table in front of you. They're all ready to go. You're just able to grab, do that ripping motion you just did, but you got to be able to pop out the figure.
I think 15. I think 4 seconds per figure to open, put it on the shelf. I think I can make that happen. 15.
Only 15. I think you could do 30.
All right, this may have to
I
happen.
think you get in a rhythm. So what we're saying is
You're probably right with that.
anyone who's got Peg Warmer Black Series figures to
Let's go,
donate
man.
to this cause. Let's get a table going during the
If you've been
24-hour
thinking about
comic
opening
event.
it, we need to make this happen for sure.
I think you need to start timing yourself. Get training. What is the best? Because it's the popping the figure out. That's where your slowdown can happen.
What that's so easy, but yeah, pulling them out of the
Because you got to
actual
take the top
there.
tray off,
Yeah.
and then you got to do maybe like a 2-thumb sort of pop to pop
It
them
depends
out.
on the amount of accessories. And this dude only had one gun, so he was out in a heartbeat.
So, well, if we're not counting the accessories, it's just the figure, dislodging the figure. Maybe we'll make
Yeah.
it
Oh,
easy, and it's all troopers, so we're not
dislodging
dealing
the
with
figure.
capes or anything like that.
Oh man, no, I think I'm with you. I'm with you on 30. I think I can pull it off.
You think you can do it?
Yep.
Okay, gauntlets thrown down. Let
I'm
Ben
in.
know.
He'll be very excited.
What are we doing with inventory?
We used it. We make TikTok videos.
So, what is your number 3 choice? So, this is middle of the pack.
Number 3, middle of the pack. It's got to be my man Vader.
Is that which one is that? Is that the Empire one? Is that the new Dark Times one?
It's a bit older, so I think it might be
The original Star Wars release?
Yeah, I always lose track of which.
Tell by his buttons.
Obviously, I got rid of the box really quickly. So I'm not sure which release he is. It always comes down to in here and this setup here. So
Well, it's got to be Star Wars because he has the cloth over the
yeah,
shoulder plates. So that might be the original Black Series Star Wars release.
This one is what started me back on Black Series, and it was my gateway drug for sure. I should not have bought this guy because I have way too many of these dudes. But I love this figure, and it was just I was just like, you know what? If I've got all these Marvel villains from Marvel Legends, oh, it'd be kind of funny. You know, Disney owns both these things now. If I put Vader up there with all these dudes,
it always starts with a joke, out. Doesn't it?
Indeed. And then it just opened the door, and then I was like, well, I'll just collect guys from Clone Wars, and I was like, well, it's all Rebels. I was like, well, I got to get these guys for sure. But man, this is just such a cool figure. It's the cloth that makes it. He's so menacing. What an excellent villain design they came up with back then. That will always be as menacing as you get. I mean, and the redemption story that goes along with him is so beautiful. So I love this dude. And this whole setup is part of what drew me to wanting to do the Black Series as well, which I know the 3 3/4 has some really good claw stuff now as well. But man, I love this dude.
Do you find that you also tend to collect Vaders, or is that enough Vaders for you?
That's one. I'm a one and done guy typically. They'd have to be a totally different version. To a way that obviously I did get this as well, but I found him at a really cool store passing through and got him first, and then I was like, I just need the original costume Cal.
So you got him as a placeholder because you couldn't find the original version.
That's exactly how that went down, and I still like this one, but it just doesn't do it for me like the modern Cal. So or not modern Cal, they're both the same Cal, but the
non-poncho, the original release.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that was something about the poncho just sort of throws it for me too. He seems sort of like sad Cal.
It's cool, and I dug it when you're playing with it in the game, but aesthetically on when I'm just thinking of Cal Kestis, him in a poncho, It just doesn't. It's just not the same. So I think that might be the only Star Wars character I've got a
A duplicate of?
duplicate of. That's not like just a different. They've got a handful of like battle droids and stuff like that, but I think yeah, I think that's the only. Oh, I do have two Mandalorians, so I've got a Beskar and an original
Okay. So
costume Mando.
technically it's two different
Yeah,
enough design wise that you can justify it.
it just happened.
But no more Mandalorians, what you're saying, right? There's
I
no
have all I
more.
have all these I have all these rules that get broken constantly. So
Yeah. Well, and they know that. They know that you will not stick to any of these if something cool comes across your path.
well, I've been able to avoid a lot of stuff by saying if it's not an animated character, or I wouldn't mess with it. And then it was like, okay, well, if it's a Disney Plus character, I can do that. So basically, just a way for me to not buy Luke, Han, Leia, a whole bunch of original trilogy characters, because I feel like the second I get into that, it explodes on a whole other level.
Well,
But
there's
it's
a
going to happen at
finite
some
number
point.
of them. There's only so many variations.
You're totally right, and it's going to happen at some point. And like I know that they'll be in. It just for the most part let me pump my brakes because I know they'll be and there will be an animated series that has them in at some point. Lando pops up in Rebels, and I was like, he's on the list now. You know, it's those kind of cool moments that you
But
can get.
you've
This
gotten
Leia pops up.
you must have gotten a couple of different versions of Ahsoka now.
Ahsoka, I think I only have. This is an honorable mention as well.
So that's
Um,
the Walmart exclusive.
this is. I haven't pulled the trigger on the Hot Toys one yet, and I love it so much, and it will probably happen. I just really want to see the Mandalorian show version come in as well. And we ordered so many of the
And then you'll
Clone Wars
decide you're
ones
getting
that
both.
maybe I just I've
What would be worse? Would it be worse that you waited knowing it was there and then it turns into knowing you had them in the store and could have gotten them, it turns into an aftermarket thing where you're then chasing down trying to get
that's
them?
happened enough more times than I can count. So that doesn't really bother me as much anymore. The amount of times that I've had something come in like that, and I've just been like, man, you know, or I sold like 100 of them for $20 a piece, and it's now $100 figure. It's just like,
Well, that you can never predict.
but so that stuff I just try not to even sweat that. I just go ahead and when I really want something, I put on a list, and I try to just be patient.
But having
Um,
said that, is there anything that has come into the store that does bother you still when you think, "Oh god, it was here. I could have had it. I could have had it this cheap or, before. Now it's impossible to find."
yeah, but it's not an action figure. That goes down to comic books. The
What
stuff
was
I've
it?
sold, I
What's the
mean,
one
just
if you could have it walk back in the store today and change and make a different decision,
if it was the same price,
same
there's
price.
Amazing Fantasy 15. I've sold multiple of those. That is my Spider-Man's my favorite character of anything. So first appearances of Spider-Man,
How does it
I've sold
feel
it.
holding that when it comes into the store?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, like really, uh, everything you want that kind of experience to be without me being like, I'm not like my blood's not like going crazy or anything, but is a really cool, unique piece of something that I feel like, um, beyond it being a cool collectible, if this comic book doesn't come out, I probably don't own this store. Like I connected so well with Spider Man that maybe it would happen otherwise. But Spider Man and Wolverine especially those two characters are part of why I'm sitting here right now and doing what I love every day. So I think it's a little bit beyond just like a thing like that where it's like to me it's almost like a level of respect of like this is this is a part of my life in a really cool way. So I love it with that stuff.
But to know that I'm assuming you've at certain point brought them into the store and sold them through the store. So to
Hmm.
know on a shelf in your store you have a copy of the very first Spider-Man, is that an odd feeling for you to walk by and just sort of see that sitting up on that shelf?
Uh kind of there's like a weird level of almost anxiety with a thing like that too, because it's like, hey, I've got these things are markets are volatile and things get so weird with this kind of stuff sometimes that and I don't want to
And
be
all of it's
broken into.
perishable too.
Yes, we live in Hurricane Alley. I don't want to get hit, so it's the moment we just sold a Spider-Man #1 and X-Men #1
So your
last
happiest
month.
moment is when they leave the store.
If
When you've sold them and they're gone.
when you see it go to someone who is a fan and like you sell X-Men #1, Spider-Man #1, Amazing Fantasy 15, Raven Bolt 28 or something like that, that's super cool, and it goes to a person who's wanted this. Like I might have this like admiration and respect for it and love it so much, but when I see it go to someone who wants it that bad, it's a whole different thing. And I've been able personally, that's part of why I think I collect action figures, because it's so much easier to come by like the rarest, weirdest action figure. I do wish I would have kept the Leopardon, which is like the Japanese Spider-Man mech suit. I should have kept that because you can't find that everywhere. But everything else, like action figure wise, comes back in here, even the rarest of them. But stuff like that, comic books like that, I've sold 4 Amazing Fantasy 15s, I think, at this point. Um, and now they're so completely out of touch, out of price at the price point that like it'd be out of my ability to own.
Right.
But when it was in my ability to own, to like
Or even
realistically,
pass through the
I couldn't
store.
afford it. Yeah, I mean it's
When you're getting up to
I'll
auction prices, then it's difficult.
it gets difficult. So no, it's really cool to say that I've literally owned almost every Silver Age like crazy book that exists. I've owned every. I've had a page from Detective 27, like pages of comics from some crazy stuff. We get some just really crazy stuff that comes through. And it's awesome. But that'd probably be if I was thinking of things that you don't come by like ever or rarely ever again. It's some of the stuff that like a book I sold for $5,000. It's now a $80,000 comic book. It is a thing that like not even for price. I wish I would have picked that up because it's something I really wanted, and I kind of figured, oh, I'll be able to get this down the road for a little bit more money maybe, but not like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean it's I talked to you before about my attempts to complete my Fantastic Four collection.
Oh man,
But the decision I made a long time ago was condition didn't matter to me. So,
that's
I
the
have
best way
some
to pull it off.
really beat up, under 100 under issue 100 issues, but it's just like, okay, but it's not a concern to me that I can get this thing uh graded as long as I have it and I can say, "Oh yeah, I got issue 18." Then
Yeah,
it's another step towards the completion. It feels good for me to have it as part of that.
exactly.
But I'll go through your back issue bins sometimes and look and go and like, okay, well, here's one for 12, but here's one for 8. I'll get the 8 because I just want to have the issue. And it's not a matter of that ding that's on the corner doesn't matter to me.
hmm I'm
Uh,
with you. If it's like I don't want something that's like completely falling apart. But as long as it's like a intact and I can open it and
as
read it.
long as I can
I'm with
take
you.
it out of the bag,
Yep.
then that's enough for me. If it doesn't turn into just, a pile of confetti,
Yep.
which I'm sure you've had happen.
More than enough times for sure.
So what is your number 2 choice?
Number two, Kanan had to be. This is my favorite Star Wars character. He's number two only because I'm waiting for them to redo him where he has the full beard, and I've got a version at home. I've got another one of these at home, the same exact. I usually do have two of the exact same figure, but only because I want to customize them into like
Do you like
kind of
sight or
Kanan when
blind? Which version do you like?
I feel like he became a Jedi Knight at blind, and I love that. There like so many phenomenal moments through that final season there. So I want to make my own version of that, but this is definitely my favorite Star Wars character. I love his story, his arc. I love the people that he's with. I think the way that it's cool that like Bad Batch is tied in with him now, and so many cool little nods to different things.
Oh, you must have
But
been
it
thrilled when that Bad Batch premiere happened.
was awesome, awesome. Um, I yeah, so I love Kanan. And they could definitely like I love this figure. I want to see them do an updated version. I think especially the blind bearded version and short hair. But man, yeah, perfect character. Not a perfect figure, perfect character. So this is my number two for that.
And an emotional choice.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. And that's why it was tough. That's the only reasons it was tough to be like which one's your favorite, because I love this figure and I love the character, but it's not perfect to me on both those fronts. So he didn't hit number one.
So your number one has to hit those points.
He hits both those fronts for sure.
So let's see what your number one is.
Number one, Cad Bane. I think this is exactly him in 3D, like in a holdable action figure form. It's so perfect. It's got so much attitude. Uh, the coloring is awesome. The weapons are awesome. Like everything about this figure, I think is just so spot on. And I love Cad Bane. Like I love his accent, the way he moves. So I'm a fan. Not my favorite Star Wars character, but because of the combo of how much I do like him and how perfect this figure is, he's hitting number one.
So does that mean that the upcoming Hot Toys figure is a easy sell for you?
Yeah, I
Are you going to
not
acquire it?
exactly. I need to see it. I mean, it's one of those things I have to fall in love with when it gets here, because I thought he looked really great in Mandalorian, but this is such a
But
perfect.
but you know, Sideshow is coming out with the Clone Wars version.
Now that might be the thing that tips it for me. It's I just it's I need to see it in person.
And you've seen
So
the new one started shipping, right? The Bad
oh
Batch
yeah,
Braca
he's super cool.
got him nicely posed in his little. This one poses really well.
Yeah, without the jacket on, he makes him a little more usable like that.
Yeah,
He's
he can
just
sort
he's
of
just
swing his arms back, and he's also got the they did change up, so he's got the head plate
oh cool.
on
I mean,
there.
he fights Jedi, and all he has are guns and some little jetpack boots. That is so awesome.
I mean, they really did good with the Cad Bane was surprised when that came out in the Black Series, the one that you chose. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, they're gonna do this. We're gonna get animated, realistic animated versions of the animated characters in the
Oh,
Black
the
Series.
way they pulled that off with like I've got most of the Bad Batch characters. They look like Tamura Morrison meets the animated version of the it's they're doing
Oh, I
such a
think
good
the
job of
face
it
on the
here.
Wrecker is one of the best as far as just
Yeah,
personality wise that they've
I
done.
I had such a hard time not choosing him as part of this crew right here too. I mean, like that was where picking out the top five was tough. Picking them in order was tough. Any one of them could be number one in a heartbeat, but I think Cadge, because of how much like
Ticks as many
detail
of the
and
boxes.
he had to win it just off of like yeah, exactly. It ticks the boxes. Like if I put it on paper, he's the closest to perfect that they got.
He's also one of the best 3 3/4 scale figures they ever did in the see if I can actually get him off my desk. Did in the Clone Wars animated line. Have you seen that one?
Let me see. Oh, it's cool.
And he's got the cloth for the drape on his coat.
That's so good, man. I mean, it's just I don't know. I love the idea of Star Wars being a space western, and I think Cad Bane ramps that back up. That's part of why the Mandalorian resonated with me so much. That whole show in general, just being this like cool spaghetti western feel almost.
I mean,
I
come on,
love it.
you got to hunt this down. You got to get this. I mean, how great is this?
Ken, if you start me on 3 3/4 stuff,
I'm not starting you. Cad's starting you.
All right, that's fair. That's
Remember when
fair,
you got
man.
Vader as a gag?
See, that's what's gonna happen. That's my problem.
I mean, look, he's got the big hat. He's got the big hat like in the actual animated series.
Oh, he's dynamite.
I mean, but the sculpts on this, I mean, the face, the folk you can't really quite see, but the sculpting on it is just spot on. And
His
come on,
droid is
yeah,
so funny too, man. I
yeah,
forget his
come
name,
on.
but
How can you not?
it's cool.
So you'll be looking on eBay for this. Now there are two releases. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the other one has plastic
yeah.
for the drape, so you have to make sure you get
Okay.
the. This was the second version of it where they revised it a bit and
I
refined
heard
the.
there's two different versions of the current Black Series one from Bad Batch too, like that. There's like his hat fits in differently in different plastic molds or something.
Is it? I haven't seen that yet. I know. I mean, everyone's just starting to finally get them after ordering
Yeah.
them forever ago.
Where is he exclusive to somewhere?
No, no. Well, you know what? Yes, he was an Amazon exclusive.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would have gotten him into the shop, right?
Yeah, I may have to get him at some point too. He's cool,
I
man.
mean, I mean, come on. Yeah.
He's just got so much attitude.
And he goes with
I,
your Bad Batch figures.
I really, I really, yeah, right. No, he's up there. I really dig Honda as well. And so this dude is so fun to me.
Oh, see,
Like
here's the thing where you're making a mistake right now. Because the thing is, on my desk, I can pull and go, but look at the Clone Wars.
yeah, no, he's far better. I'll give you that.
I mean, come on. And look, he comes with his Kowakian monkey.
Oh my
Look,
gosh.
and he's got the big Clone Wars long coat.
Ken, you're trying to ruin me, man.
But you're looking at this right now, going, yeah, I could do that.
You're right. You're right. I just
And
got so
yeah, I
many
mean,
cool Black Series.
the face is
My
so
my
good.
Hera was almost in my top 5 as she's one of my favorite characters. I mean, it's just
Now,
it's
would you prefer if they had, it in the animated style? Would you prefer that over the realistic?
I would. I don't know. I like that because most of my stuff is some sort of cross between, and I really enjoy that. I don't. I prefer closer to animated, but I think they do such a good job of making it look some sort of cross. Like I don't want the Rosario Dawson Black Series figure. I want more animated style one, absolutely. So I feel like if they premiere first in animated, I want them to look more that style. But she doesn't look too realistic to me to the point that like it looks like an actress's face or something. So it just looks like Hera to me. I don't know. They did.
Right.
It's just an outstanding figure.
I mean, also the benefit, when those came out, there were no actors playing them in live action at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So now, technically, I mean, we're going to have to get a different Sabine figure out.
Absolutely.
And if all the
Ezra,
all the Leech and Ezra, and also Hera.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is,
I'm in favor of all
your
that.
one and done rule may be going away.
That's usually the way that works, man.
But that's what collecting is, right? And you have a hard and fast rule until you see something that you go, oh, that's just too cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's at one point it was supposed to be only one Peter Parker, but then they do the Cosmic Spider-Man, who is a Peter Parker, but he's different kind of timeline Peter Parker, so it's okay. And then we got Spider-Man Noir, who is a Peter Parker, but he's a different Peter Parker, so it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, what are you using? Multiverse rules?
Multiverse rules can save me on my rule.
It's not. It's not. You're just trying to rationalize. You're desperately grasping at straws.
I'll get as many Jeff the Sharks as they will create. So I'll give you that.
I mean, the fact that we only have one so far, and it's not even accurate to the current version.
No, yeah.
Because you got to take the fins off.
He doesn't have fins anymore.
It's I mean, the fact that they snuck that in as an accessory into a figure that was,
Throwaway figure.
yeah, they knew what they were doing. But yeah, it's great to have that. I wish I had some of the statuary that's come out, the Guerrero stuff that's come
Oh
out
yeah,
with Jeff in it.
it's
But
so
but
cool.
I showed you, now I can 3D print a Jeff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you want me to 3D print you a Jeff? I'll 3D print you a Jeff.
Ken, I'll take a Jeff. Let's do this.
So we did your 5. We did a couple of your honorable mentions. Do you have any other honorable mentions that you'd like to talk about?
I was saving them to the end, but because of just the way the thing went, so it's
We got your Cal Kestis.
Cal, Ahsoka,
So did the
Hera were the.
Cal ever come into the shop?
Yeah, I've had these on the shelves plenty of times. I just didn't play the game, and I kind of hold a steadfast. Like, this is one rule I don't think I'll ever break, is I feel like I need to have a connection to a character before I want a figure of that character. When it comes to Marvel characters, DC characters, if I read a story that hits me on a level that it sticks with me, I'm interested in having a physical version of that character. But until I have that, I don't want it. There's too many characters that just look cool. The design's amazing, but I've never read a story that mattered to me with them in it. And
Right.
and I just I that is one rule that will always remain, I think, for my figure collecting, is that I need to have a reason why I love the character in order for me to want to pick that up. And the second that I played, I mean, there was some point with probably the second sister, when he was having a discussion with her about what had happened to her, and you could just tell this was like, I love a character being like just a good person, and I feel like Cal embodied that, and I needed to have an action figure of him stat. The second that they do a better version of this one, he gone. But so I'm waiting. I need
You
more.
say
I
that,
need.
but I see your Poncho one still there.
Look, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right.
Why who you lying to? You lying to me or you lying to yourself?
Both of us, Ken. Both of us. Um, but no, I think that's why I love about this about action figures and about comic book culture and geek culture, is I think that there's such a universal love for these like good versus evil stories, and a good bad guy with a redemption, or just a good bad guy just to have and these things where people where you can have a physical representation of something that meant that connected with you, that you can kind of goof around with on the desk, or you leave it in the package, whatever is your thing. That's cool. But I think that's why I love this so much. Is it's just it's always been a part of my life since Michelangelo and Leonardo and Raphael and Donatello were awesome back in the
So
day, and I wanted
when
to hold them. So it's
so
cool.
when we're done talking, you take all these figures and put them back in the drum case and take them home.
There, most of this stuff just stays at work because it's just so much easier to have a huge display of them up here. Which yeah,
Why is that
I
drum
feel like
case?
he deserves a little bit of an honorable mention. This is just a cool figure.
Oh, that's the comic
Um,
greats one, right?
yep.
It was like Sith
This is
Apprentice.
solid Darth Maul. Just because he was sitting beside Darth Maul for some reason, he deserves just a little bit of a spotlight, even though he's got nothing to do with the Force.
I mean,
Um,
listen, you've seen some of the episodes prior. If there's other figures you want to talk about, by all means, I'm not going to stop you. We could talk
but
about anything.
I won't lie to you. What's going to happen is I'm just going to set them in a box lid over here with a bunch of other stuff until I take everything off, and I need to dust so many action figures right now, and I decided I was going to stop putting stuff back on the shelves until I was dusted it. So there's some sort of domino effect that happened back there on a shelf. I'm gonna fix it soon, but I need to
Yeah,
not just stand them
yeah.
up. I need to dust
Again,
them.
are you lying to me or are you lying to yourself?
This is not a lie, Ken. This one's not a lie. This
But
one's
here's the
happened.
thing: I do come down there. I can go. Hey, by the way, their shelves dusted.
Please check in on me on that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
one sec. No, it's let's see.
Oh, my Hondo fell
Okay,
down.
yep, I'm back. Um,
So
no, I'm
where is the drum case right now? Is it at your parents still?
yeah, yeah, it's
Does it
over
have
there. So
any figures in it? What's left of what was in it when you were kids?
no clue. That's a question for another time. I have no idea what's left in there. I mean, I really we took a lot of stuff that was in there, and I know I did take a bunch of it up here and just put it in some little like 3 for $5 bin or something just to try to we just were doing anything we could to keep this place alive. So um
So it'd be a
yeah,
surprise to you to find out what was still in there.
most definitely. It'd be fun to see.
So maybe that should be an unboxing video on your social media at some point.
There you go.
Bring the old drum case in.
I thought Dad he'll be so excited to get anything out of his house from Mom and Dad. So
And then you can have a discussion with your brother where you quiz him and go, which of these things in here do you think are yours?
we'd know that. It's funny because it's always the it's I like Wolverine and he was in the Cyclops, or whatever character was the second, was like
Anything that was in
not
competition with each other? Was that it? Is any
it
rivals?
was always any rival for sure.
Now, does he gravitate more towards villains or heroes?
Probably heroes, but we I think a lot of villains were type of characters we would kind of share together a little bit. So no, we were so fortunate to be into the same stuff and to be able to share our love of collecting and
And still sharing it.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's plenty of things back here that are this isn't this. There's so much stuff that's just ours together. His stuff, my stuff mixed together back here. It's really cool. So
Well, I mean, that's
we're super lucky.
so a question I've asked before of others, I'll ask of you is if there's anything that has not been produced that you could ring up someone and get them to make that toy, that collectible, what would you want?
Hmm.
And it'll be anything. It could be Star Wars, could be Marvel, could be anything that pops into your mind as like a thing that you've never seen yet, but you really, really want them to do.
Man, I should have been ready with this one, but I'm just so not ready. I'll
Emotionally?
go. uh, I I would love to. I mean, I love that from the Spider Verse comic, the Japanese Spider Man with Leopoldo, and I would love to see like a build a figure of a character of like a big mech like that. The Spider Man mech would be such a cool thing. Um,
Would you buy that HasLab?
I would buy it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I'd be an instant on that. Which I'm in on the Robbie Reyes if people will support it. It will, but it is expensive. It's crazy what they're charging for it. But it's a charger in 6 scale form that opens up and everything. It's just a
Yeah,
tough call.
it's a hard thing in those videos to really sell the scale on what a six scale
It's big, you know.
or not a six scale, what a 6 inch
12 scale,
scale
yeah,
looks like vehicle wise.
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to sell it six scale as well. You know, when people like, I
Mhm.
mean, you've seen them come into the shop like that Ecto One or anything like that, what that actually means
Yeah.
size wise.
Um, I guess trying to think of just the first thing that pops to my mind. I'm still fresh in Fallen Order, so Cal's Jedi Master, who's like Zeb, his race. I forget what his name was, but man, that would be a cool figure. I thought his outfit was so cool.
Which is kind of like
I
the Obi-Wan on your list because you got the Clone
Yeah,
War
he
outfit
had the
mixed with his
full
tunic.
exactly. I just there's something about that to me that speaks to me with the idea that they would put the actual soldiers armor on and be battling with them, and I thought he was such a cool character. I liked Sarah a lot from the game as well, so I'm all about a figure of her. Um, too many cool ones,
I'm trying to remember
man.
the name of the pilot who loves salt
He was
so
so
much.
funny, such
Yeah,
a cool little dude. Grief, great, no, not grief.
Graf. It's Graf, right?
Something like that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you noticed his salt, right? When they're
Oh
eating,
yeah,
and he's just for the entire scene just salting.
just getting after it. I love it. He's hilarious, man. He's such a cool little dude.
Yeah, it's you know, maybe we'll get more of those characters then when the sequel comes out.
Exactly. That'd be great.
And they have a nice ship too, but we'll never get that in that scale.
Yeah.
It's a little big. It's a little big to do
Yeah.
vehicles. I mean, vehicles is pretty much the domain of 3 3/4 inch figures.
And I realize that's something you give up when you get these size guys, but it's but man, yeah, I don't think I'd want to switch back now. I really enjoy this scale. And I love Hot Toys, and I get to play with them all the time, pose them up for the store, and have fun with them. But I think I have a soft spot for this size action figure that I think is like it's the way to go for me.
I have one request now,
Mhm.
knowing the story about it, because I think it's sad. It needs to fly again. You need to retrieve your Millennium Falcon that used to hang up in your room. Now that you've got the massive one in the front of the store,
Oh yeah,
your office has a high ceiling back there, could perfectly handle a small childhood Millennium Falcon hanging up, being able to soar once again like it did all those years ago, rather than sitting in a box in an attic or a crawl space or wherever it may be, a shed.
that's a good call. Done
You need
deal.
you need to bring that Millennium Falcon. You need to have its triumphant arrival into the shop. Document it. Everyone should go follow all the Memory Lane Comics accounts on all the social media, because not only is it fun, you guys are doing a lot of great content, but that means you can also hold him to doing this, and he can't escape doing any of the
That,
things that
that
we've said.
that's how you get me to do anything. Is you tell me I said I would do it, so it'll work out really
So what
quickly.
do we got? The things you're gonna have to hang up the Millennium Falcon. You have to get ready for that Guinness World Record run of openings. You got to get your childhood friend back in for the 24-hour comic day
Oh yeah,
to pick up where you left off and create a brand new comic. What else do we? Oh, you're gonna pick up the 3 3/4 scale Cad Bane and Hondo Anaka.
allegedly gonna pick him up.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
do I need to hold him up again? Do you wanna see
stop
again?
it, stop it.
No, no, no. You kind of you want it, right? Look. Oh, he's
He's
got
so much
his little
better than mine.
goggles on, and he's the
Yeah,
animated one. He's what you fell in love with.
I think this is the only one that was available at the time. Isn't this the one from
The
Disney
Galaxy's
World?
Edge. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the live action Hondo.
he's cool. Not nearly as cool, but I needed a
Wow,
Honda, man.
the perfunctory. He's cool. I'm sorry, I ruined your Hondo for you,
No, he ruined himself for me.
but I
He's
didn't
cool.
listen. I don't think I ruined them. I just showed you that there
There's a
is
better way.
things like that out there that can. And look, you know, he's easy to display next to your big Cad Bane
He's sweet, man. I'll give
and
you that.
the 6 scale one you're going to be getting next year. It
Ah,
never ends. It really never ends. I'm going to mention a couple of things that I picked up recently, like I do at the end of
yeah,
the
yeah.
show. So, well, first, speaking of those jumbo figs, this arrived.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know what I'm going to do with a jumbo Tarkin, but speaking of a figure that we need more releases of and an updated release, that archive series I think is coming in any day now, right?
Oh yeah, he's gonna be outstanding too. That's such a good character.
I mean, this, to be fair, looks nothing like Peter Cushing. I have
Not
no
even in the
idea
slightest bit.
who that stand-in is, but he looks like an assistant principal.
He does, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's something very disapproving. Like, oh, now he's sad. Oh, you can go sad, disapproving.
that's crazy how. But I
Oh,
mean, but
and
I
this is
still have. There's
his
a charm to it still somehow.
and this weird baton staff thing is the accessory he comes with for no reason. I have no
Like
idea,
he could be like
because
he
they're
could play
creating
it as
this
a,
whole cloth, because this obviously wasn't, you know, they never released this in the original Kenner scale, so they're imagining what this might be.
yeah.
But I don't get the
It's
baton.
it's just like it's either like a flute or he could
Like,
destroy a world with it.
They are coming out with
Oh,
a
yeah, that's
jumbo
pretty cool.
Thrawn.
That's pretty cool.
So just for
I
you.
got I love my Black Series Thrawn. Thrawn's my favorite villain, for that matter.
Well, put your order in for the jumbo series. And I have mentioned the McCory concept figures that
Oh
came out. So I've mentioned the Vader before. I mentioned the Star Killer when Lucas had
so
considered
fun,
making the hero woman instead of a man. And so that is great that they came out with that as a figure.
so cool.
But the ones I just acquired, the 30th anniversary line is great. I got, speaking of Zeb, the original Chewbacca design,
Oh yeah,
which is what they adapted to make Zeb.
it's so cool that they've used that kind of stuff. I feel like that's such a good tribute to McQuarrie too.
So that's a great figure. And the
Awesome.
concept Boba Fett. Yeah, all of these concept one. I think the only one I may be missing now is just the Stormtrooper and the other version of Luke with him and like the breather from that
Oh
concept art.
yeah,
Speaking of breathers, in that 30th anniversary line, one of the weirdest Obi-Wan Kenobi figures you can get, because he doesn't come with a lightsaber. He comes
the
with the
blaster and the staff.
blaster and the Magna Guard staff from the encounter with Grievous. And if you'll notice his slightly open mouth, because he comes with the rebreather from when he makes that plunge into the water.
Yeah,
So you get the little tiny rebreather that goes in his open mouth. You can see on the picture on the back, it shows it with the rebreather in.
what a specific instance to put a figure out
Like
on.
super specific, which you don't get releases like this now, just because of the way the market is. You can't have
Yeah.
something so niche as this. But when you're stocking these in Toys R Us's all over the country,
Mhm.
they can afford to go a little weird and unique. But yeah, this 30th anniversary line has some truly bonkers figures in it. So
That's
if you want to
crazy.
go into the deep end of looking into all of those, and then the last thing I'll share, because I hope everyone has pre-ordered, and I think we might be doing something at some point about it. I got my comps for the DuckTales book, The Art of DuckTales, which I don't know if I hope people who are watching this know about. Here is a copy of the standard edition,
It's beautiful.
but that's nice. I did a nice little unboxing video. I'll show the deluxe edition.
Oh my gosh, Ken, that's awesome, dude.
And
Congrats, man. That is beautiful.
then slide that out. And the difference in the deluxe, you get the standard edition of the book. So same as you would, but it's got gilded edges.
Ooh,
Covers
nice.
every episode of the series, talk to the crew, talk to the cast. But I did over 100 hours of interviews for that, which meant there was
Yeah.
a lot that needed to be edited out. And the deluxe edition has expanded versions of all of those interviews,
That's cool.
plus additional art. And I don't know if you saw that little notch there, but
Yeah.
what you also get is a reproduction of Scrooge's number one dime.
That's cool, man.
And that's only the deluxe edition. So people can get more information at bit.ly/DuckTales book. And also announcements from you all about what might be doing locally, because I'm not doing conventions right
We are
now.
most
So
definitely gonna do a signing on this bad boy.
so
So I'm excited about that, man. I think what we're shooting for November. Can we
I
catch a date?
I don't remember, but they should keep up. We'll both make the announcement when it
Yep.
happens.
Follow
Uh
here or something.
yeah, just feel it.
Click
Eventually you'll
here.
feel that it's the time is right. Yeah, click there. So where though should people follow? Because you also have an online shop, and
Yeah,
people
yeah,
can shop, and also an eBay presence. But where should people go to follow you and
yeah.
all the things?
You can catch us at mlcshop.com for Memory Lane Comics. If you just Google Memory Lane Comics, you're gonna run up against something of ours. Memory Lane Comics and Toys. Memory Lane Comics Part 2 is on eBay. The guys over there are always throwing up just insanely cool stuff. We get so much interesting things to walk through the door, so you never know what you're gonna see. And then TikTok, Memory Lane Comics. Um, we make all sorts of fun, stupid, free the figure videos. So if that gave you nightmare or you had a blast watching me destroy that box, there's plenty more of that kind of stuff and comic reviews and all sorts of things. So yeah, I mean you can't miss us. We're somewhere around there.
Yeah, and you're always doing, if people are in the area visiting or driving through, it is worth a stop to check it out. And again, you have a great staff, and
Thank you.
they're all fun to talk to. Go in and visit, keep them busy by purchasing some stuff. And it's been a delight having you on the show. I appreciate you coming on.
You know, my man. Good to see you.
So again, like I've told people before, I'm very bad at ending these things. Other than saying, if you want to support it, go to patreon.com/Ken Plume. That would be appreciated. But otherwise, I'll just say goodbye, and that should be good enough, right?
Indeed, man. That'll work.
Good. Oh, glad. Finally, something works. Bye, everybody.